Hello, people, it's Mr. Harland. Today is a good day, but it's also a dark day. As you see, the Colorado won the Stanley Cup. It's a dark day indeed, yes. But besides that, today we're going to talk about yet another British highwayman. His name is James MacLaine. Yes. He is another British highwayman. He was an Irish man, born in County Monaghan in 1724, Ireland, but no one knows for sure. But let's get right into this. Yes. MacLaine was the younger of two sons of a Scots-Irish Presbyterian minister. Oh. Alright. Yes, I just want to make sure that annoying music is off, because I cannot stand it. But yes, today... Oh, god damn it. Hold on, I appear to be having some technical difficulties on my end. There we go. He was the younger of two sons, born to the minister Reverend Thomas or Lachlan MacLaine. Well, of course you're a loser, Roxanne Wolf. You have no eyes. You cannot see evil. His mother, Elizabeth née Milling, died when he was 5 or 6 years old, and his father when he was 16 or 17. He came of a family of many ministers. His grandfather, a Gaelic-speaking clergyman in the Church of Scotland, had received a calling to Ireland from Agleshire in 1698. His older brother, Archibald MacLaine, was educated in Glasgow and followed his own vocation at Presbyterian minister, scholar, and royal preceptor in the Netherlands. I need to find a table. There we go. Sit in this lovely little restaurant. Netherlands between 1746 and 1796, famous as the first translator of Johann Lorenz von Mosheim's. Educated to become a merchant, James MacLaine frittered away his inheritance in Dublin on fine clothes, gambling, and prostitutes. Such inheritance as James received had mostly been dissipated by the time he was 20, and his mother's relations soon quarreled with him and refused to give him any assistance. He attached himself to the domestic service of Mr. Howard in order to travel to England, and stayed with him for a while, but into low company and leaving without testimonials. Returned to Ireland, his mother's kin still refusing to help, his brother sent him subsidies and letters of good advice from the Hague. These proving insufficient, considering joining the Irish Brigade in the French army, but was told that he would make little progress with them unless he became a Roman Catholic, which he was unwilling to do. By his own account as a highwayman, MacLaine embarked on his career of crime about 6 months after his wife After his wife's death, at his interrogation, he was encouraged to lay evidence against his accomplices, and at his trial he sought to lay a good deal of the blame for his course of life upon Plunkett, who was never caught or tried. So his narrative may not be entirely accurate. He claimed that Plunkett, a fellow Irishman, had led him to believe that he had travelled abroad, and persuaded MacLaine to employ him in his household and to lend him £100, part of which was paid back sporadically. MacLaine explained his melancholy to Plunkett as his money was running out. Plunkett replied, with some knowledge of the world, a brave man. Here's what he said. Plunkett had replied, "Honey, I thought MacLaine, though haste spirit and resolution, with some knowledge of the world, a brave man cannot want. He has a right to live, and need not want the conveniences of life, while the dull, plodding, busy navs carry out cash in their pockets. We must draw them to supply our wants. There need only impudence and getting the better of a few silly scruples. There is scarce courage necessary. All we have to deal with are such more mere poltroons. Accordingly, Plunkett and MacLaine joined together and went on the road as highwaymen, agreeing to share their spoils equally. They wore Venetian masks to cover their faces. Their first enterprise was on Hounslow Heath, where they held up a grazier coming away from Smithfield Market and relieved him of £60. This was so successful that they decided to continue, and their next action was to hold up a coach at the road coming into London from St. Albans. They approached on horseback from either side with pistols drawn. MacLaine said that he was so nervous that it was left to Plunkett to call out the demands. Plunkett began to upbraid him for his lack of courage, and MacLaine cried out, "He needs must whom the devil drives. I am over shoes and must over boots." Afterwards, to prove himself, MacLaine alone held up a gentleman on horseback in Hyde Park and relieved him of his money and watch. They committed around 20 highway robberies in 6 months, often in then relatively untamed Hyde Park. Their victims included Sir Thomas Robinson of Vienna and Miss Talbot. MacLaine was only once in fear of being discovered to allay suspicion. He stayed a while with his brother in Holland, giving him a false account of his means of living, and was introduced to polite dancing assemblies where various purses and watches went missing. In November of 1749 occurred their most famous exploit when in Hyde Park between 9 and 10 o'clock at night they held up the writer and antiquary Horace Walpole. One pointed a blunderbuss at the coachman while the other put his pistol through the window of the carriage. Walpole wrote, "One night in the beginning of November 1749, as I was returning from Holland House by moonlight about 10 o'clock, I was attacked by 2 highwaymen in Hyde Park, and the pistol of them going off accidentally raised the skin under my eye, left some marks of shot in my face, and stunned me. The ball went through the top of the chariot, and if I had sat down an inch nearer to the left side, must have gone through my head, it would have. They took his watch and purse, his sword, and some money from the footman. Soon afterwards, MacLaine sent Walpole a letter as from A, B, and C, D, offering him first refusal to buy back his stolen possessions, indicating that he should send a servant with the money to rendezvous at Tyburn, threatening fatal consequences to Walpole if he betrayed them. He suggested sending the footman, as he wanted to give the man his money back. The thieves were often restrained and courteous, earning MacLaine the sobriquet the gentleman highwayman living in St. James Streets, next door to Wyatt's. There we go. He was now passing himself off an Irish gentleman worth 700 pounds a year, and Plunkett, who had lodgings in Jermyn Street, were said to be well-known figures about St. James. MacLaine kept company with some noted ladies of the town, and also with certain women of fortune and reputation, who were so unguarded as to admit him to their society. He worked his way into their affections of a lady who deserved better, but she saved them from ruin when a gentleman revealed to her MacLaine's character. He had sufficiently low opinion of MacLaine's respectability that he was able to decline the duel with MacLaine consequently offered him, which MacLaine had literally offered him a duel. This may have been a different challenge to that which MacLaine offered to a British officer of Pugny, Bowling Green, in the spring of 1750. The officer who had disparaged him declined to fight him until he had given proof of his respectable origins. MacLaine had recently obtained a certificate attesting to his descent from the nobility. On June the 26th, Plunkett and MacLaine held up the coach of the Earl of Ellington on Hounslow Heath. Plunkett went forward of the carriage and took hold of the postilion, so that Lord Eglinton, who was carrying his famous blunderbuss, could not fire at him without killing his own servant. MacLaine, who was behind, commanded his lordship to throw his blunderbuss out of the chassis, or he would blow his brains through his face. They took the blunderbuss together with a portmanteau and 50 guineas. Between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning of the same day, they held up the flying coach at Chiswick, between Turnham Green and Brentford, which was carrying 6 passengers on its way into Salisbury, going westward out of London. Wearing masks, carrying pistols, they demanded money from the passengers. When one Josiah Higden gave them a few shillings, he was told this was not enough. They ordered him out of the carriage. They took more money out of his pockets and threatened to blow his brains out for concealing it. Then they obliged the coachman to help to take out 2 clothes, trunks out of the coach boot, and rode off with them. One belonged to Mr. Higden and was later found empty in Kensington gravel pits. This Josiah Higden was possibly the apothecary of Sackville Street, who in May 1750 was involved in the will of Walter Chetwynd, the old Grendon, and in 1763 was elected master of the Society of Apothecaries of London. MacLaine was arrested and was captured, and on the 12th of September 1750 MacLane's trial would begin at the Old Bailey. He changed his plea again to not guilty, claiming that his former confession under examination had been the product of shock and mental derangement, arising from the suddenness and unexpectedness of his arrest. He claimed that he had Mr. Higden's coat and other belongings because Plunkett had given them to him in lieu of the remaining money that he owed him. He and MacLaine had no idea that they were stolen. The jury did not believe him. The trial became a fashionable society occasion. A contemporary broadside includes an illustration. A lady, perhaps Lady Caroline Petersham, is shown appeared as a character witness, one of the justices saying, "What has your ladyship to say in favor of the prisoner at the bar?" And she replies, "My lord, I have had the pleasure to know him well. He has often been about my house, and I never lost anything." Lord Eglinton declined to testify against him, and Walpole, reporting MacLane's condemnation in a letter dated September 20th, added, "I am honourably mentioned in a Grub Street ballad for not having contributed to his sentence." He was convicted. The jury brought him in guilty without going out of court. No remission was forthcoming, despite various signs of penitence shown by the prisoner. When the judge asked him why he should not be sentenced, MacLaine, who had prepared a short speech expressing his contrition, pleading for mercy, was unable to say more than one or two words. And they are, "My lord, I cannot speak," and stood in silence. The poet Thomas Gray, in his poem A Long Story, referred to this when he wrote, "A sudden fit of ague shook in him. He stood mute as poor MacLean." He was hanged, like most highwaymen, at Tyburn, although it wasn't always at Tyburn. On October 3rd, 1750, Dr. Allen reported that a young fellow prisoner who had kept him company sat with MacLaine through his last night in prayer and devotion, and as MacLaine got into the cart to take him to Tyburn, he was heard to say, "O my God, I have forsaken thee, but I will trust in thee." A great crowd attended the execution, before whom he maintained a steady composure, and his last words to them were, "O God, forgive my enemies, bless my friends, and receive my soul." A later publication tells that, as the cart was about to be drawn from under him, a witness heard him say, "I must never more behold this bituminous sun. Do thou, O Sun of Righteousness, shine on my departing soul." Afterwards, he died from being hung by the neck, as the UK, the British Empire, would not take such things. Not very much was, there's not too much about him in popular culture in the United Kingdom, except for a film with the portrayal of MacLane's life appears in the 1999 film Plunkett and MacLaine, in which he was portrayed. He was played by Johnny Lee Miller. After his death, his body was dissected and his skeleton was suspended for display in niche in the Surgeons' Hall in London. William Hogarth included a representation of MacLane's skeleton in the final plate of his series The Four Stages of Cruelty. MacLane's execution was the subject of a CHEP repository tract of 1795, which went through several editions. At best, there was a couple of books and nothing else more. And that pretty much does it for today's video. Do not worry, everyone, the second one will be coming. And I know it's gonna be sad, but do not worry. I will be back. Goodbye for now. And as one YouTuber said, we will do this very soon, my friends. And I cannot wait for October, for the blues fans will be, we're all together now in October.
Check out this verbo.
I didn't hear that. That must have been that robot over there. But yes. Goodbye for now. 'cause I'm on the road again. No, I'm just kidding. Just that little boy. I'd like to thank everyone for watching today's video, and I hope you enjoyed. As these two, whoever they are, going off to the sunset. You know, I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about something in this additional part of the video. I understand there's a missing little girl named Summer Wells. I pray she's found, but I want to put a disclaimer out there. I want everyone to let you know, let law enforcement do their job. Just please do that. I am praying she's found, but everyone, let law enforcement do their jobs. Don't let those dingbats who are making all this crap and lies, don't give them any attention. At all. At all. But, and another thing, have a good day. Yeah. Let's go, something, I don't know. Or whatnot. But yes. I like this jazz music. But yeah, that's no one from my video. No. It's just a random bunch of people. I don't know who these people are, but goodbye, everyone.